Imagine this. You've got the keys to a brand new Ferrari in your hand. But not just any Ferrari. No, this one. It's rumored to be the last of its kind. Kind of makes you think about the legacy, doesn't it? That rumble you'd feel. Well, that's the feeling we're chasing today as we dive into the Ferrari 12-Cilindri.
A fitting subject for a deep dive, if you ask me.
Definitely. So buckle up, everyone, because we're going to unpack what makes this car, this 12-Cilindri, so special. Is it truly the end of an era for Ferrari? And why are so many car folks going crazy over it?
I'm eager to hear your thoughts.
Well, this could be Ferrari's last non-hybrid V12. Those emissions regulations, man, they're really clamping down.
It's the way of the world, unfortunately. And the V12, you see, it's more than just an engine. It's an icon. That power, the sound, it's almost primal. There's so much history there, powering legendary cars for decades. But things change. Smaller engines are in, electric powertrains. The 12-Cilindri, it feels like a statement, a last stand for a certain kind of driving experience.
A roar in the face of change. I love it. And speaking of roar, that red intake manifold, apparently it's something else. And the whole thing, get this, it's positioned perfectly for weight distribution. 48% front, 52% rear. That has to be important, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Weight distribution is essential, especially in a performance car like this one. That slight bias towards the rear in the 12-Cilindri, well, it's intentional. It keeps the car feeling planted at those higher speeds, but also nimble when you're cornering. It's like, think about it this way. You don't want your groceries all in the trunk, right? You want them balanced for a smoother ride.
I never thought of it like that. It makes sense, though. And hey, speaking of balance, the article also pointed out how the car's design, it channels the Ferrari Daytona.
Yeah.
Big time. That long hood, the way they set the cabin back almost over the rear wheels, and that abrupt rear end. It's a modern take on a classic.
Yeah.
What is it about the Daytona, though, that makes it such a legend?
The Daytona, it was a game changer when it came out. Design and power, all in one pure classic Ferrari. By bringing some of those design cues into the 12-Cilindri, Ferrari is making a statement. This isn't just a new car, it's a continuation of a story. Of course, they've also got all the modern tech, like those active rear flaps.
Those deploy at speed, don't they? What's the advantage of that?
Downforce, pure and simple. They act like an upside-down airplane wing, pushing the car down onto the road using airflow. And when you're hitting those speeds, this thing can do over 340 kilometers, that stability is crucial.
Wow, that's moving. Just firing up that V12 engine is an event in itself. They even try to describe the sound. It uses all these lightweight materials so the engine can rev more freely. Gives me chills just thinking about it. How do they even engineer a sound like that?
It's more intentional than you'd think. A lot of enthusiasts, they're not just in it for the speed. It's about connecting with the machine, That roar, the instant response, that's all part of it. A V12 is thousands of tiny explosions every minute, controlled chaos, and Ferrari has fine-tuned that chaos into a symphony.
Wild. Says that at low speeds, the 12-Cilindri is really quiet. I'm guessing it's those noise regulations we talked about. Talk about a split personality.
A refined gentleman around town, then a monster unleashed on the open road, right? It's Ferrari trying to hit that balance. They're known for powerful but livable, luxurious even.
It is a Ferrari. You'd expect a certain level of, everything to be top-notch.
And it delivers. We should probably touch on that interior, actually.
Luxurious leather, carbon fiber, even a screen just for the passenger, just in case, going 300 kilometers isn't entertaining enough.
And don't forget, it actually has a trunk. They managed to fit a decent amount of space in there, which is pretty rare for these kinds of high-performance cars. It's all about that GT, that Gran Turismo philosophy, built for spirited driving, but also long, comfortable journeys.
A car for all occasions, as long as your bank account is up for it, that is. Speaking of, it's not for the faint of heart.
Do tell, I'm almost afraid to ask.
$395,000 for the coupe.
Okay, that's substantial, but for a limited production Ferrari, not completely unexpected, I suppose.
Right, but then there's the convertible that's $435,000 car.
Ah, yes, the wind in your hair tax. Always a premium on that open-air experience. But then again, can you really put a price on feeling that V12 roar with the sky above you?
Some things are priceless, I guess.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder who's this car actually for. It's a very specific type of buyer, right?
Definitely. Someone who appreciates the finer things in life, someone who understands that sometimes the best things are the ones you can't just mass produce.
Like a piece of history on wheels, you mean?
Exactly. And speaking of history, let's talk about that engine again. That Crabbebeestial really piqued your interest, didn't it?
It did. It makes you think of something primal, like animalistic. Is that what they're going for with a sound like that?
Sound is powerful, and Ferrari knows how to use it. Think about it. A musical instrument can evoke all sorts of emotions. It's the same with a car engine, especially one as carefully crafted as this V12. That sound, it's meant to stir something in you, connect you to the power of the machine. It goes beyond just building a car they're crafting an experience.
It does make you realize how much detail, how much thought goes into every single part of a car like this.
And with the 12-Cilindri, Ferrari's not holding back. Decades of knowledge, a real testament to what they can do with automotive design and engineering. It's a fitting end to an era, you could say.
A glorious last stand.
Precisely.
And speaking of last stands, it does make you think about what's next. If this truly is it for these naturally aspirated V12 engines, what takes their place? Will we ever get that raw, visceral feeling with hybrid or electric powertrains?
That's the million-euro question, isn't it? And there's no easy answer. On one hand, you've got that pull of the past, the legacy, the craftsmanship, all that power. But on the other hand, the future is calling. New tech, sustainability, the potential for even better performance. Being a car enthusiast right now is fascinating, that's for sure. But one thing's certain, a Ferrari will always be special. They'll find ways to innovate, to push the boundaries, to build cars that get us excited.
No doubt about that. And you know what gets me excited? Even though it's incredibly powerful, the 12-Cilindri is supposedly easy to drive. They even said it's manageable for less experienced drivers.
Don't let that fool you. It's still a beast. Technology has come a long way. Things like chassis control, driver aids, traction control. It makes these high-performance cars more accessible, for sure.
Right.
But you're still talking about a massive amount of power. It takes skill to handle that responsibly.
For sure. No matter how smart the car, you still need a smart driver behind the wheel.
Yeah.
But it does make you wonder, what would it be like to actually experience that kind of performance?
Picture this. You're strapped into the cockpit, hands on the Alcantara steering wheel.
Okay, I'm listening.
You hit the start button, that V12 roars to life. You feel it in your chest.
Goosebumps already.
The instrument panel lights up colors, information. You grip the steering wheel, feeling the weight of the car.
I'm hooked. Keep going.
You engage first gear, that click of the paddle shifter, dual clutch transmission, lightning fast shifts, remember?
Right, like two transmissions working together.
Exactly. So you're in first gear, you lift off the brakes, and the car surges forward. That power, it's intoxicating. The world outside, blurry. You're shifting through gears, that V12 engine singing its heart out. The car feels glued to the road, aerodynamics, suspension. It all works together.
Sounds like an out-of-body experience.
It awakens all your senses, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But you know what? Even with all that power, the 12-Cilindri is surprisingly manageable.
Wait, really? But it's got, what, over 800 horsepower?
That's the beauty of modern engineering. Ferrari's found a way to make it both exhilarating and approachable.
So you're saying even someone like me could handle it?
With the right training and a whole lot of respect for what that car can do, absolutely.
That's both reassuring and terrifying.
It's part of what makes driving a car like this so special. It's a balance you and the machine, power and control.
So it's more than just going fast. It's about the feeling, the connection.
Precisely. That's not something technology can easily replicate.
You've given me a lot to think about. Knowing everything we do about this car, how special it is, how rare it might be, would you pay that price tag?
It depends on your priorities, your passions, and of course your budget.
It's a nice dilemma to have, though. I'm sure most car lovers would love to be in a position to even consider it.
Of course. Because the Ferrari 12-Cilindri, it's more than just a car, you see. It's a dream on wheels.
A dream that might be gone before we know it, which makes this whole conversation even more, well, I don't know, meaningful.
I'd say so. But like they say, better to have loved and lost, especially when it comes to cars like this. Isn't it, though? It really does make you stop and think.
It does. This whole thing, it really makes you think about, well, what does it even mean to be a car person these days?
It's a good question. I mean, look, this 12-Cilindri, it's like it's at a crossroads.
How so?
Well, on the one hand, you've got that classic, undeniable appeal of a powerful engine. That V12, it's a throwback, right?
Right.
But then on the other hand, you've got the future coming at us, electric cars, self-driving, all that. A whole new world of what cars could be.
It's interesting, though, because whether you're into the old school stuff or the new tech, it all comes down to passion, doesn't it? People who love cars.
Yeah.
They just love cars. The machines, the tech behind them, the history, the whole experience.
You hit the nail on the head there. And that passion is what makes these conversations so engaging. It's not even about which is better, necessarily.
No.
No, I don't think so. It's about what those different paths represent, what they tell us about ourselves as drivers, as consumers, as a society even.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit.
Yeah.
On the surface, you've got a car like the 12-Cilindri, right?
Yeah.
And it's all about indulgence. Powerful, luxurious, expensive. It makes a statement.
And there's nothing wrong with that. For a lot of people, a car is more than just a way to get around. It's about expressing yourself, your personality, your values. And the
Oh.
12-Cilindri, all that history, that craftsmanship, the sheer presence of it, it says something about wanting something rare, something special.
But then how does that fit with where the whole car industry is going? Because like it or not, electric cars are the future, more efficient, better for the environment.
And they can be crazy fast.
They can. But speed isn't everything, is it? And that's where it gets really interesting. It's about figuring out what we truly value in a car. What parts of that driving experience are we willing to keep, even if it means giving up a little efficiency or even a bit of speed?
So are you saying there's room for both? Like, we can have electric supercars and still appreciate the thrill of a V12.
I think so.
Yeah.
In fact, I think they can work together, even enhance each other.
Yeah.
Imagine this. It's a Wednesday. You hop into your silent, sleek electric car, perfect for work, for errands, for city life,
Quiet, no guilt about the environment.
efficient.
Exactly. But then the weekend rolls around. You open the garage and there's your 12-Cilindri.
No.
The sun is out, the road is calling. You just want to feel that connection to the machine.
Okay, now you're just teasing me. I get it, though. It's about having options, right?
Yeah.
The right car for the right moment.
Exactly. That's the great thing about this whole world, cars, driving. It's all about passion. And there's room for everyone, whether you're a tech whiz who loves EVs or you live for that classic muscle car roar.
And the Ferrari 12-Cilindri, it's right there in the middle of all that, isn't it?
It is. It embodies what makes Ferrari. Well, Ferrari. The history, the passion, the never-ending pursuit of making the perfect car. And whether it's the last of its kind is almost beside the point.
Almost.
Well, let's be real. Part of the appeal is that exclusivity. Knowing it might be the last hurrah for a certain kind of engine, a certain kind of driving feel, it makes it even more desirable.
That's true. There's something romantic about that, owning a piece of history,
Like-
experiencing something that might never exist again in the same way.
Exactly. And that, I think, is what makes the Ferrari 12-Cilindri so fascinating. It makes us think about what we really want in a car. What's it worth to us? And what are we willing to let go of?
It's a lot to process.
It all comes down to what really matters to you. Your passions, your priorities, and of course, your bank account.
But hey, it's a good problem to have. I think most car lovers would love to be faced with that decision.
100%. Because at the end of the day, the Ferrari 12-Cilindri, it's more than just a car. It's a dream.
A dream that might not be around for much longer, which makes this whole thing even more, I don't know, poignant.
Absolutely. But like they say, better to have loved and lost. In a world that's obsessed with efficiency, automation, all that, the 12-Cilindri is like a breath of fresh air, a reminder that driving can be pure joy.
That feeling of the wind, the roar of the engine, the open road ahead of you.
Exactly. It's about that visceral connection, man and machine, something that's getting harder and harder to find.
And that's what makes this whole conversation so interesting. It's not just about cars. It's about us, what gets us going, what we're passionate about.
100%. And whether you're a total gearhead or just starting to appreciate cars, I think the Ferrari 12-Cilindri has something for everyone.
It's a glimpse into a world of, I don't know, passion, power, the open road.
And who knows, maybe it'll even inspire some people to get out there, find their own automotive adventures.
Find that one car that really speaks to them, that sparks that passion.
That's what it's all about.
Well said. Well, everyone, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the Ferrari 12-Cilindri.